So this is how I'm using manifestation to improve my life. So what even is manifestation? A few months ago, I came across this YouTuber called Nero Knowledge, and I'm going to put his links in the description below because I think his content is so useful and so valuable. So definitely go check him out. And I also want to preface this by saying that anything that I say that he has mentioned in any of his videos, I'm giving him full credit. 99% of what I've learned about manifestation is all through him. So yeah, I'm not trying to just copy what he says. I'm really just trying to kind of document how I'm using it and what it's doing for me. So he defines manifestation as shifting internally to a degree where you're no longer emotionally dependent on seeing reality change. And I just want you to remember that definition for a second because we're going to link back to it. But shifting internally to a degree where you're no longer emotionally dependent on seeing reality change. So, okay. And something else that he said, which has been really game-changing for me, is think of manifestation not as kind of like getting things that we want, but rather revealing things that we already have. And this is kind of how I like to internalize that. So the reality that you desire, whether that's you have whatever amount of money you want, the physique that you want, the relationship, whatever it may be, right? That's obviously going to be different for everyone, but whatever that reality is, if you can imagine it, it's already yours. Because and the way I like to think of that is, if I can imagine that version of me in my mind, then that reality, that desired reality for me, is just a reality that another version of me somewhere out there in the multiverse is currently experiencing. So another version of me is currently experiencing that. And I think that thinking of it like that is so freeing because it kind of reminds you and gives you a sense of control, or it just reminds you that you have full control of your reality because you already have these things that you desire. It's just about revealing them into your life. It's just basically like taking something that's invisible, which is currently in your mind, and just making it visible in this 3D world. And so how do we actually reveal it into our life then? Simply put, and I'm going to try and go into more detail in future videos, but the easiest way to put it is kind of just shifting your thoughts and your actions to align the version, to align them with the version of you in your desired reality, right? If you start to think like that person and act like that person, it's kind of inevitable that you will become that person, right? And so if you stop depending emotionally on seeing reality change and just start to think and act like that person right now, then you've basically manifested it, because you are now thinking and feeling and acting as that person would. Because what I've realized is that these things that we desire, we really desire the feeling that we get from obtaining it, but there's nothing stopping us from feeling that feeling right now. And so if we can just do that, then we have manifested it. And if we can just do that for a long enough period of time, without being emotionally dependent on seeing our reality change, then that's it. That's how we manifest. And that's how I like to think of it, at least, right? And so that's kind of how I'm manifesting the things that I want, or I have. So yeah, and these are some of the things that I'm actually doing every single day, physical steps that I'm taking, and so first one is emotionally charged visualizations. So I've not really spoken much about emotions here in this video, but I probably will in other videos. But emotionally charged visualizations, so that literally just means visualizing a specific scene in my mind, which would kind of fulfill my manifestation, right? And then emotionally charged affirmations. So this isn't necessarily going into the mirror and screaming I am beautiful 10 times, although if that works for you, then that works for you. But what's really important here, which like I said, I'll go into more detail in another video, but emotionally charged affirmation. So it's not just staring at yourself and saying that you're beautiful 10 times. When you say these things, it has to be filled with emotion. And the last one is detaching from outcomes emotionally. And even with this YouTube channel, I don't really care about the subscribers or any of that stuff. My goal is genuinely to just try and improve as a person in the process of making this YouTube channel, and also just providing as much value as I can to you and showing like the raw and like authentic kind of side to it. Like there's so much background noise right now. I'm gonna show like the setup that I'm using to film this right now. Like I want it to be as raw and authentic as possible, but yeah, like that's kind of how I'm defining manifestation and how I'm using it day to day in my life. And you don't really need to overcomplicate it. I think for me at least, I've simplified it to this, and it's just really doing the same things every day and not being emotionally dependent on seeing your reality change in the process of that.